Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Diana Martin. I'm the executive director here at Hourglass, and so glad to see so many smiling faces today on a little bit of a cloudy Friday as we're here to talk about the redevelopment of West King Street and really some of the recent investment in West King Street. Today we're joined by Marshall Snively, president of Lancaster City Alliance, and Jeremy Young, who's their director of community and economic development. They're going to talk a little bit more about the history and some of the recent development investment on West King Street. We're going to hear from Evon Bergey, VP of Operations at Landis Communities, and Elizabeth Soto, who is working with them as a diversity consultant, about one of the block's anchor projects, which I know everyone is excited to go take a look at today, which is Landis Place on King. And then we're also going to hear from Kevin Ressler, President and CEO of the United Way, about their plans to join the 200 block of West King Street. So we're going to spend, feel free for coming in, find a seat, make yourself at home. We're going to spend about 30 minutes here hearing from our presenters on the panel, and then we are going to head over to do tours of Landis Place on King. It's only a block away. I can see it from out the window. So we'll hope that the weather kind of cooperates for us, and excited to go over and take a look at that. So right before I hand it over to my presenters, I just want to thank our First Friday Forum sponsors, which is Rogers & Associates, and also thank Millersville University and the Ware Center for hosting us today. So thank you again for being here, and I'm going to hand it over to hear more about what's going on West King Street, and then we'll do our tour. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. See if I can get this to work. I'm going to stand up if everyone doesn't mind here. So I'm Marshall Snively with Lancaster City Alliance, and you're going to hear from Jeremy in a bit as well. But we're calling this the West King Reinvestment, Building on Strength, and we're calling this Building on Strength because we want to take you back a little bit because, it's great to see so many familiar faces here and some faces that we haven't seen actually in quite some time. But I wanted to take you back a bit because I think the last time that Lancaster City Alliance presented here was when we were developing the Building on Strength Economic Development Strategic Plan. And believe it or not, we started planning that 10 years ago, just as we became Lancaster City Alliance. In fact, in June, we're going to start to celebrate our 10th year as Lancaster City Alliance. But we were charged with developing the city's Economic Development Strategic Plan, which is a 15-year plan. That was about a 2-year effort. We're now in year 8 of implementation, so we're already halfway through the plan. And really a focus area of that plan is West King Street. So very happy to be here and to be able to share some of the great things that have happened and some things that are yet to come. So building on strength. So for those of you that were part of the planning process or have been to our many meetings over the last 8 years, just to give you an idea of the planned aspirations, and the ones in bold are what we're really going to focus on today. Provide equitable opportunities for all Lancastrians, cultivate existing Lancaster businesses to grow, encourage targeted economic development, and provide an environment where small businesses and entrepreneurs can thrive. And as we go through this, you'll see that all of that is happening on West King Street right now. So there are 4 planned strategies. The first one, expanding success, traditional economic development. That's what we call the bricks and sticks. How do we get projects out of the ground, like Landis Place? And how do we keep that pipeline going? And how do we ensure that there's tools available so that projects can continue to happen? And you'll hear more about those tools and what they've leveraged coming up. Embracing collaborative the collaborative economy, cultivating entrepreneurs, ensuring that the city remains a place where our entrepreneurs can grow and thrive, leveraging the brand, continuing to market the city as a great place to live, as a great place to invest, and quality of life, reinforcing commercial hubs, and that's really where everything begins. No one's going to want to invest or be in a place unless they feel comfortable and want it there. So for this, we're really going to focus on, probably 1 and 4, although everything on West King Street sort of touches on all 4 of these strategies. So by 2030, we wanted the following outcomes. We wanted to see income increase. We wanted to create 300 new hotel rooms, 2,500 new residential units of all types and price points, 100,000 square feet of new and renovated retail space, 300,000 square feet of office and flex space, And in all, we wanted to realize $1 billion in privately led investment over those 15 years. Now, the years prior to building on strength, the city saw $1.5 billion of investment over about 10 years. And that was during the recession. And that's pretty incredible for a city of this size. And that's something that we should all be proud of. But one thing that we always like to point out is part of that $1.5 billion was publicly funded projects like the convention center and the ballpark. The focus of this plan is really driven by private economic development. So where are we now? The maroon line here shows projects that are completed. The gray line shows projects that are completed and underway somewhere in the planning process. So you can see that the dotted line, which is our goal by 2030, we're hitting it out of the park. And we're just halfway through implementation of the plan. So you can see we've had 300 new hotel rooms, almost 900 units of residential units created, but with another 1,900 units in the pipeline. The almost 190,000 square feet of retail already completed, 400,000 square feet of office completed, and almost $1 billion of privately led investment already occurring. And again, that's halfway through the plan. If we get all of these other projects out of the ground, we're looking at almost $1.5 billion of investment already. So the plan focuses on these areas. I mean, it's really citywide, but the focus is not only on downtown, but most importantly, we wanted to concentrate on areas that hadn't seen a lot of investments, over the last couple of decades, and include sort of the spokes of the city. And we call those commercial hubs because in many cases, they were the commercial hubs of neighborhoods outside of downtown. And as you can see, number 3 is West King and Manor Street. So what we're talking about now for West King Street is actually captured in part of 1 in the downtown core, because this actually goes all over to Mulberry Street. But you'll see through the plan that the investment is extending to West King and Manor Street, which is great to see. So where is that investment occurring? So if you look at let's start with the second. The $491 million, that's in the downtown core. Now, that's not too surprising, right? The $248 million is Harrisburg Avenue and the Northwest Gateway. But the smaller ones are the ones that right now we are most proud of, because while they're small compared to downtown and other areas, they're huge for these communities. So if you look at West King Street, and this is outside of downtown, so this is west of Mulberry Street, actually, almost $32 million of investment occurring. South Prince and South Queen, $30 million. South Duke, $26 million. New Holland and East Walnut, $24 million. That's pretty extraordinary. And if you look at areas outside of the core areas that we focused on, there is another almost $500 million of investment occurring outside of the commercial hubs. So, what's great to see here is that not everything is focused on downtown. When we talk about equitable investment in this city, it is occurring everywhere in the city, which is fantastic. So that's a brief. Oh, your turn, right? So that's a brief update of where we are with building on strength. Again, we're here to focus on the key elements that have really affected West King Street. And we're going to turn it over to Jeremy Young, who will take it from there.
Thank you, Marshall.
Oh, and before you go, for anyone who wants more information on building on strength, please visit our website, LancasterCityAlliance.com. Org. Thank you. Jeremy.
Thank you, Marshall, and great to see everyone's faces today. Such a nice sized crowd. Marshall set the stage for you on the incredible investment that we're seeing here in the city of Lancaster. And again, much of that investment started, going back more than 15 years ago, concentrated mostly in the downtown core. It didn't really trickle down King Street until just within the last several years, frankly. But it is moving west. And starting with this project literally at Penn Square on West King in the first block, Zamias Properties, of course, developing 45 market rate residential units upstairs, revitalizing, renovating some of the commercial spaces on the ground floor, and keep moving down the street next to the Hager building on the surface parking lots, which have been surface parking lots for 50 years. We have a terrific project in the planning stages with about 130 new residential units and new ground floor commercial activity. Really, beyond Prince Street, things really cut off. That was it. There's not really much after this if you're moving west as far as downtown action goes. But we've just seen another recent investment by Bergey, who's also preparing to break ground here shortly at Queen and Chestnut with their renovation of the 10 Prince apartments, the former Stevens House at Prince and King. And across the street from that, of course, we have a wonderful project by the Fulton Theater that's renovated some of the King Street facades there, really pushing the revitalization westward across Water Street, which literally was the dead end itself. It's hard to believe this is what that block looked like just a few short years ago, 5 years ago. The former district justice office, now a supermarket. This part of the city and much of the Southwest was in fact a food desert. And what a vital asset this grocery store, supermarket is for this block, but also the broader neighborhood. And arguably, I would imagine a catalyst for Landis Place on King. Those folks need a place to walk to get their food and their groceries. Landis Place, of course, is the catalyst, I think, as far as we're concerned in terms of future investment on this block and westward on West King. And it's worth noting, Marshall talked about there are some tools that can be helpful to ensure that this investment continues not only on the 200 block of West King, but in other corridors like South Queen Street, South Prince, South Duke. The CRIZ program has been a vital tool for us here in the city. We're one of a handful of communities in Pennsylvania that have this tool at our disposal. And it's providing financing for new development, but also catalyzing and supporting business growth and expansion here in the city. Here in red are the properties that are designated as part of the CRIZ, the City Revitalization and Improvement Zone. And that area of the city taps into specific state and local taxes that, rather than going to the general coffers in Harrisburg or the City Hall, they come back to the CRIZ Authority to be distributed for economic development. You can see those CRIZ properties, or the CRIZ zone overlaps really nicely with the Building on Strength Economic Development Plan focus areas. These are the corridors or spines of our neighborhoods, literally, as well as the Downtown Investment District you can see in blue there. So we're really trying to coordinate all of these efforts together from an economic development perspective. What's really wonderful is the CRIZ program for its first several years really focused on large-scale projects, arguably projects that benefited larger corporations but didn't really help the little guy, so to speak. We're thrilled to have been able to recently push out a new $5 million small business financial assistance program, providing grants and loans to support small business growth. And that's literally happening on the 200 block of West King, on the first block of West King. And I'll talk a little bit about some of those exciting grantees and borrowers in just a second. But for your knowledge, and spread the word, by the way, businesses in the CRIZ district, those areas that were on the map in red, are eligible to apply for a maximum grant of $25,000 with a minimal match. It can be used for acquisition of real estate, new construction, facade improvements, leasehold improvements, furniture, fixture, equipment. And in addition to the $25,000 grant, they can also opt to apply for a low-interest, fixed-interest loan through this program. Those loans are underwritten in partnership with EDC Finance Corporation. I think we see some EDC folks in the room here. Maximum $100,000 loan, very low interest as compared to a traditional bank's interest rate. Right now, about 4.75%. And it can be used in combination with that grant. So really up to $125,000 to support small business growth and reinvestment. The program piloted with $300,000 in grants that were awarded. Blaze and Jays in the first block of East King was an early recipient as we tried out this new program. Concrete Rose on South Duke Street and Conestoga Plaza. I know we're talking about King Street today, but great examples of some of the early recipients of some of this assistance that we want to see trickle out westward on King Street. Drift Spa at the Marriott Hotel, and Passerine, a new venture by Kyle Sollenberger and partners from Prince Street Cafe, taking over the pour space or beer wall on Prince. And project that I'm excited to share, Issei Noodle is now able to have its own owner-occupied space, the former Catalina's on Orange. And that deal brokered through a wonderful collaboration between Community First Fund, High Associates, Lancaster City Alliance, and the CRIZ Authority, as well as EDC Finance. A great example of us all working together to make economic development happen here in the city. Another key tool that we have in our toolbox at Lancaster City Alliance to support small business growth and reinvestment in places like the 200 block of West King is the Lancaster City Alliance Facade Improvement Grant Program. We've partnered very closely, and we're very grateful for that opportunity with Tenfold and with SOE, the Southwest Neighborhood Revitalization Initiative, where we've been able to tap into more than $600,000 in mostly private funds from foundations to catalyze more than $1.3 million of investment in our neighborhoods and in key corridors like King Street. You can see on the map there all of the projects, more than 100 to date since 2019 that we've been able to achieve. Right at the top of your map there, the orange boundary is the SOE boundary. Again, most of the projects in the SOE area, but many projects on King. Had a wonderful opportunity to work with one of our diverse small businesses on the 200 block of West King, Sarah's Grocery and Deli, who was an early adopter of the Neighborhood Healthy Food Initiative from Lancaster General Health. And the CRIZ program was actually able to leverage funds from the Lancaster City Alliance Facade Program to achieve a transformation of their facade, creating a more attractive environment for their business. And next door, similarly, the SOE facade money was able to transform this facade, really having fun playing with colors and creating a bright, attractive environment on the 200 block of West King. You can see here this corner is at night previously, and then after with some uplighting improvements and fresh paint. Simple things like light and paint make such a difference. Here, as I see Evan Young here in the crowd. Hey, Evan, that's his beautiful building, Larkstone. Did I say that right? Yeah, okay. And 221 West King, former Luciano's Buy and Sell, who's moved next door, actually. This has seen a nice transformation, playing with some color. 209 West King. So slowly we're moving down the block, building by building. We're out of facade improvement grant money. If you know of anybody looking to donate, we will gladly talk with them, but we would love to do more projects on the 200 block. Really, we're trying to bookend the 200 block and the 300 block as well with downtown at the intersection of Charlotte, King, and Manor. And you can see a transformation at that intersection, really trying to do some placemaking there. And some uplighting at night. Also did some uplighting of the Christ Lutheran Church steeple, really trying to help folks orient themselves. And here is West King Street. Come find us. Another bookend was this property at Manor and King, before and after. But if we really hope to see these reinvestment efforts continue, and more projects like Landis Place on King come along, we really need to continue to focus on the basics, ensuring we have a clean, safe, and attractive environment for this investment to grow organically. And that can be done thanks to the Lancaster Downtown Investment District. Dave H., our Executive Director, is in the audience here today. Big announcement that you may have heard, may not have heard yet. As of Tuesday, the Downtown Investment District is expanding into the 200 block of West King, also expanding southward down Prince Street and including some parts of West Vine Street as well. And those areas will now benefit, including the 200 block, from the clean team services. All that is going to go away, and that block will feel a little more spruced up and hopefully attract more investment. They'll also benefit from the ambassadors on bicycles, extra ears and eyes for police. And with that, just keep us moving along. I know Evon's got a wonderful update for you about Landis Place. Evon, thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Hi, everyone. I'm Evon Bergey, the COO at Landis Communities and the Executive Director of Landis Quality Living, and that's the part of our organization that Landis Place on King is. Before I start, I must say this would not be happening if it wasn't for the city and a number, many trusted partners. So I just want to say, if you're in the room here, anybody from the city, High Foundation, They are doing some social impact investing. Some special people I want to point out: Keith Stuckey, board chair of Landis Quality Living. If you want to stand, Hilda Shirk, board member of Landis Communities and co-chair with Bill Hartman. I don't see Bill. Just stand and stay standing if you don't mind. So Hilda and Bill co-chaired our City Vision campaign and raised $550,000, which, along with home funds, so anybody involved in home funds, we are able to have 10 of the 79 units affordable to those with low incomes. Other partners: Orrstown Bank, Fulton Bank. If you're here, stand up. It takes partnerships. Great partnerships with RGS, RLPS, High Construction. Thank you. And a terrific Landis team. Kevin Ressler, board member of Landis Quality Living. Please stand. Landis team: Elizabeth. Norma Harris, right there, spouse of the famous Bernie Harris with the city, is the new community senior manager at Landis Place on King. Ed Kaminsky, our director of Landis Quality Living. This would not be possible without Ed. Linford, previous VP of Facilities and Planning, now our design consultant. Joy Albright keeps us all going. Dot Hartman, Director of Ops, you're hiding there. Anybody else from Landis, please stand. This is just a collaborative effort and would not be possible without the welcoming stance and support of the city. It's been absolutely, and of course, Marshall and your team. So thank you. Thank you all. So it's an honor and a privilege to be able to be aligned with the city's Building on Strength, traditional economic development. This will be a $28 million investment into West King Street, into the city, embracing collaborative economic and entrepreneurs. The beloved Rendezvous has been reimagined and is coming back to West King Street. And we are very grateful. I don't see Randy Patterson here today, but we're very grateful for Randy and his team and the benefits of the CRIZ dollars that will help that become a reality. We're marketing locally. Our marketing is focused on Lancaster City. And so far, of the leaseholders, 30% are from the city. Another 20% are from the county. Another 20% are from the state of Pennsylvania, and 30% of current leaseholders are from outside of Pennsylvania, still all from the US. We have not marketed outside of the city, but with technology, word gets out, we could say. Quality of life, we are building housing with services, and I'll talk more about that into our model. So, Landis Communities itself is building on a decade of experience. In May, we will celebrate our 10-year anniversary of Steepleview Lofts. That's just north on Water Street, and prior it was an empty warehouse, and now is home to about 42 residents in 32 apartments. And what a difference a decade can make. Macy's Candy, Friendship Art Gallery, and a thriving block with some food venues that I'm sure we all have enjoyed. This is an intentional project. We have approached this intentionally from the beginning. Our vision is enriching lives. Landis Communities' vision is to enrich lives. The mission of Landis Quality Living is to provide housing with services for adults to age in place and thrive in community. And everything we do and all of our conversations really include our values of joy, compassion, integrity, stewardship, and community. We began the vision for Landis Place on King very intentionally. Our vision was that Landis Place on King be an integral part of the West King Street neighborhood and complement the residents and businesses that already exist to make that neighborhood so special. We're also very intentional about who we are serving. This is one of our middle market projects. We are so thrilled that with the capital campaign and home dollars, we were able to subsidize 10 of the 79 units. The remainder of the units are focused on adults 55 and plus in the middle market. So this just shows you that in 2014, there were about 8 million adults in that middle income category, 75 years and older. And by 2029, that will be over 14 million. It's a growing population. This shows you what is that middle market. And I have to catch myself, but I say middle markets. It's middle markets. There's the lower, which is the yellow. That's tax. That's the income and asset tier that tax credits and subsidized housing really supports. And that upper tier, folks can move wherever they want, a place like Landis Homes or Willow Valley. Now, some in those higher ranges live at places like Steeple View and Landis Place on King because they choose to. But we're really targeting those middle markets there between 38,000 and 116 income ranges. And we're thrilled that 10 units will actually be able to be for the lower income range as well. We are intentional about housing with services so that residents can age in place and thrive in community. We're doing it because it's the right thing and it's what people want. People want to stay in their home as long as they can. And so we have designed a care navigator program. A place like Landis Homes has many, many nurses, many social workers, it's a continuum of care, multiple levels of care. This is not that. This is designed differently, and yet we know that we need services, enough services to support people to age in place. So our care navigator model, it's a holistic wellness model. We started with more of a medical model, and as we worked with each other and with our consultants, we landed on a wellness model, and it's 3 tiers. One is a community connections program. The middle tier, that is care coordination, where individuals may have an acute or episodic need for some extra supportive care navigation that will help them maneuver this complex world of insurance and healthcare. And then there is a more intense level, which they can pay for, that actually brings in services like nurse case management or nurse services that might not be covered by insurance. We're very intentional about building community. That was part of the founders of Landis Homes. And as we ventured into middle market with Steeple View Lofts, we heard it from future residents there. They said, hey, where are we, when they saw the initial plans for the building, hey, where are we going to be able to spend time together in this building? And so when we did Steeple View Lofts, we dropped an apartment and put a community space on each floor. And the famous architect Sullivan says, form follows function. And what that means is that the purpose of a building should be the starting point for its design. Our purpose is that each resident becomes part of the Landis Place on King community, and that the Landis Place on King community become a part of the West King Street community. So we are very intentional about building in community spaces into the building. So while we could have a little more revenue producing square footage, we have put a community space on each floor and a rooftop terrace so that folks within the building and friends and family that they bring in have a place to build relationships. We're also intentional about how we build diversity into our community, and Elizabeth Soto, Reverend Dr. Elizabeth Soto, our diversity consultant, will be talking to us about that. Thanks, Ellie.
Good afternoon. Primeramente, first of all, I needed to figure out who were these people, who were the target. I'm a very concrete person. I need to see them. I need to talk with them. So I went out looking for sus caras, their faces. I needed to hear their accent. I knew they existed because they are my neighbors in the southeast and in the northwest, in the southwest. All of them, they're there. But I needed to know who they were. So I went out looking for who was that middle market. What were their names? How long have they been around? In order to do that, there were 3 approaches that we started creating. First, cast the net large, inviting all to come. Sounds like my friend Jesus would do, right? Second, learning as we went ahead. And third, building community starts from the outside. Those are the 3 things I want to focus here. So when we look in this, who are the Latinos who are 38%? And by the way, this doesn't add up to 100%, because there are many of us Latinos that will self-identify as Black and Latino, right? And Black and of white descendant. So they will not they won't be equal. Today in the newspaper, I just was reading about the whole aspect of the school district of Lancaster issue, but there's a number that says 57% are students who are diverse background in the school district of Lancaster. That is a critical mass, okay? So we need to figure out who they are more than the census and went out to befriend them. So how do we do this? So I love the radio. So I went to Saka. I said, Saka, I don't want 1 time. I want at least 3 times. I want to talk, and I want to talk, and I want to talk. And I want to have a conversation, because I know this is a real need, but I need to feel it. And then people start calling. Colombians, Cubans, Dominicans, yes, my people, Puerto Ricans, South Americans, Central Americans. Wow. They say, I am interested. I heard you talk. I want to learn more. And then we invited them over for the 450 hub. And part of the casting the net large is come. So Dorothy and I were having these group meetings. Dorothy will do the English one. And then I will have 2 groups coming in Spanish. We didn't know who will come in. And that was post-COVID. So we had to spread. And we had a whole family that were here for Mr. Martinez. We have a whole family here for the Valencias, because they were advocating. And it was very important that they allowed me to speak in Spanish. I was not translating for Dorothy. She gave me her outline. This is what I'm doing. I saw how she did. And then, and particularly, I believed in this. I believed it because if I can live in a place like this, and I'm 60 plus, my people can live in a place like this. So that was very important. So these people started showing up, and names and real lives started touching us. Another aspect is, as we went forward, is all of you, those of you who work the aspect of translating is not easy. So you have to translate it, interpret it, and adapt it to a language of housing. You know how particular the language of housing is? It was a learning experience for me. But it was very important, and to test it with the South Americans, universal Spanish, simple Spanish. Can everybody understand and fall in love with this project like I am? That was very important. So I tested it over and over again. Second, learning as we went. There's a competency here called cultural humbleness. Become across of it, myself as a chaplain, I needed to learn that although I'm Latina, I don't know all the cultures. I have to walk into it very delicate and try to understand. You know, I have traveled, I think, over 85% of Latin America, Spanish-speaking countries. I still do not know. And I aim to learn from my people. So tell me your story, and the aspect of, I don't know, but I need to learn. So as we explained to them, and we met over at the 118 North Water Street office, and we talked, it was one of the talks that we had with the different people that were continuing showing up and wanting to say, I want to learn more, is the aspect of face-to-face. We're changing a narrative from, I don't know if that's for me, to no sé, to sí se puede. I think we can do this. But I needed to learn what is low income and what is affordable housing. That, my people, is a real line. And what's the face of that 28,000, 39,000? How do they look? How do they live their lives? Can this be an alternative for them? And as I was swinging between the affordability and low income, I had to say, you know, that housing opportunity you have on Crossroads or where the Mennonite church is, if I was you, I'll stay there, because we can do better than $230 a month. We can offer it to you. So stay with what you have and then keep on looking for other alternatives. In trying to figure out who they were, there are two important stories. El Señor Medina, when he first contacted me, he was urgent. I need to find a place now. Well, now we're going to start to build this. It's not there yet. So I am sleeping in the sofa of my children. So I can't believe this. I mean, this is now, you don't think this is a real need. And slowly as I befriend him, he came to Water Street office and I talked with him, to the point in which he was willing to pay up to 80% of his income for housing. So we cannot let you do that. It is not smart. But people were willing. That was my aha moment to say, Señor Medina, ¿sabes qué? I don't think this is for you. That was hard. Okay. So then I found La Señora Suarez. She was coming from her own apartment, lived here for 40 years in Lancaster and wanting to stay in the city. And she had that right number. These are the people that inform my actions. So right now from the 10 affordable, more than half are people of color, people who lived and invest their lives in this beautiful city of Lancaster, my city in your city. Now, Kevin is going to be presenting before we start the tour. I know we're eager to do that. Thanks, Elena. Kevin.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. So United Way is excited to be a part of this space. As was mentioned, I am a board member of Landis Place on King's sort of oversight board, the Landis Quality Living. So fun world of conflict of interest is what happens when you work in Lancaster, right? Because we are so collaborative. And so, I heard about this project and I got really excited for a couple of reasons. One was hearing that they wanted the residents to not just be enabled to live affordably, but to actually be a member of the community, actively engaged. When I started to hear that, they said volunteer opportunities. Well, that's a space United Way likes to live in, so that's compatible. And then we were at the point where we realized, I handed out some pieces of paper here for you all around VITA. Our VITA program is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, free tax preparation services for households making $60,000 a year or less. And I was like, wait, there's some potential clients in this Landis Place on King Building, and there's potential volunteers for the program. So that got us really excited when I saw that there was space available. So on the first floor, we will have a VITA location. It will be our headquarters, sponsored by our friends at Fulton. It's going to replace our Harrisburg Pike location. But what's really exciting is it's going to allow us to do tax prep year round. So right now we stop at the end of April. And then because we don't always have location access year round, we don't help those community members who continue to, I didn't ever file. Real quick story, about 2 months ago, we had some family come in, talk to our director, Kim, and they hadn't filed taxes in 3 years. Their annual income is around $20,000. They got a $15,000 check in one single moment because they hadn't filed for the last 3 years. That became transformative for them in what they were able to do to stabilize their lives. So the impact numbers are massive. We did 8,500 tax returns last year, and we will be able to do more because we'll be doing it year round with this location. 8,500 tax returns were $2.3 million in real savings of real prep fees and a return of $16 million. That is an $18 million economic impact in Lancaster. For families, on average, $27,000 a year. Those dollars that come back go into our local businesses. With the specific Landis Place on King, what I'm excited about is, you know, many of you know me or know of me, and so I have certain concerns around development. Because oftentimes development goes hand in hand with displacement, right? And so one of the things that we wanted to be was in a space that ensures, as West King continues to develop, that low and moderate family incomes can know there is a place where they belong, where they are welcomed. In the first floor of Landis Place on King, no matter what else happens, they were there, they were invited from the beginning of the development space, and year after year, as they get better in their own financial wellness, they can continue to feel like they belong. So that's something that we're excited about. The second thing is, in the conversations, we ended up realizing there was an adjacent space available. And so we are actually not only going to have the VITA headquarters, we will actually have a separate 1,200 square foot location down there that will be able to be used for a community room for activities such as this, for nonprofits who we fund or otherwise who don't have boardroom space, that they can use that for fundraisers, for other initiatives. We're really excited about that, and we're really excited for one of you to step up for about $25,000 to be the lead sponsor. So you can contact me about that later. So that's what I wanted to say, that we're gonna have the VITA program, but we're also gonna have a really valuable space for our nonprofit partners and friends to be able to gather down on that first floor of West King Street. We're excited to be there as things are progressing and growing up. Whoever likes chip clips, I got 5 of them here. Whoever's got a kid, we like to think about VITA as being that first interaction that we have with a family to get them into economic mobility. So kids, helping them to develop from early on about what it is to have a financial wellness existence, from the tax moment into the long moments for us through the rest of your life. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank all of our speakers for that great information. Appreciate you all being with us today. Someone has the clicker, probably walked off with it. Okay, yep. Thank you. Yes, thank you all for being here. If you've been to Hourglass before, you know we normally do a Q&A, but I'm going to skip that for today because we're all excited to get on the tour. I do want to give a quick plug for our next 2 events. Our next event is our next First Friday Forum, which will be back here on April 7th. That is going to be about the Little Conestoga Blue-Green Corridor project. If you're not familiar with that, it's going to be the largest stream restoration that's ever taken place in the county. It's about 2.5 miles. And along that is going to be a new trail system that will link all the way from Marietta Avenue out to Park City and Woodcrest Villa. So that's going to be a really neat project. If you're wondering how you can join us again, I know we have a lot of new faces. Please become an Hourglass member. You can do that at hourglasslancaster.org and come back for our next First Friday Forum. And the other thing I wanted to mention is our community forum is coming up, which everyone is invited to. That will be happening down in Steinman Auditorium on April 12th. Do we have any Strong Towns fans in the room? Chuck Marone. I know we got a couple people. Strong Towns is Chuck Marone's a really well-known advocate for how we can have thriving cities and safe streets and financially sound communities that we live in. So that's going to be a really great talk, and I hope that you can all join us.